Welcome to Politics Nationwide on the network service of Radio Nigeria, and I'd like to apologize for starting the show this late. My name is Tese Mzuga. I want to say to you, Happy New Year out there. Okay, Politics Nationwide is a program that comes to you live on Radio Nigeria, Africa's largest radio network. We'll bring to you authentic angle to politics and political developments in the country. Once again, my name is Tese Mzuga, and I'm glad to host you on the first edition of Politics Nationwide for this year, this week, and this month. And of course, I want to go ahead now. President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday, 31st December last year, signed the nation's 2022 budget into law. The signing came 2 weeks after the Senate and the House of Representatives passed the bill presented by the President on the 7th of October last year. At the event during which the 2021 Finance Bill was also signed, President Buhari said the passage of the 2022 Appropriation Bill was, as well as the 2022 fiscal year, was very crucial in the efforts to complete and put to use critical agenda projects of his administration. The President, however, expressed reservation over the alterations made by the lawmakers and the budget. The lawmakers approved a total expenditure of 17.12 trillion naira as against the 16.3 trillion naira proposed by the President. That is about 700 billion naira mark up to the budget proposal. Now, some of the changes at issue include increase in projected federal government independent revenue by 400 billion naira, increase of 21.72 billion naira in the overhead budgets of some NDAs, while the sum of 1.96 billion naira was cut from the provision of for some MDAs without apparent justification. Also, provisions for some critical projects were reduced, such as the 12.6 billion naira in the Ministry of Transportation's budget, reduction of 25.8 billion naira from Power Sector Reform Program under the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and reduction of 14.5 billion naira from several projects of the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, talking about the 2021 budget implementation, the President expressed happiness with the success recorded, but extended the implementation till 31st March of this year. Now, why the discrepancies in the 2022 appropriation bill and the budget passed? What is the level of 2021 budget implementation? Whose responsibility is it to track implementation of the budget? These and more we shall be looking at in this very first edition of Politics Nationwide in 2022 as we discuss 2021 budget performance and prospects of 2022 budget. Our guest star, Dr. Galadima Simon, an economist from University of Abuja, and Mr. Gabriel Dakolo is a financial analyst who will be joining us later. I'd like to say, Dr. Gabriel, good morning. Dr. Galadima Simon, good morning and welcome to our studio.
Good morning, thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
The same to you.
And how's the family?
The family is fine.
It's
thank
good
you.
to have you in our studio.
Thank you.
So I want to say thank you once again for joining us. Now, Dr. Galadima, the 2022 budget is termed Budget of Recovery. What's your take on the nomenclature?
Well, the 2022 budget is about accelerating post-recessionary growth. We were in a recession and we are barely out of it. We are basically recording tepid growth. So this budget is meant to stimulate the growth. That's the overarching reason. Then secondly, to tackle insecurity. So the sobriquet is meant to reflect the main objective, the overriding reason, the objective that the budget hopes to achieve. So is following the principle of Keynesian economics. When an economy is experiencing a downturn or the growth is really slow, then you can embark on deficit budgeting. You can embark on expansionary fiscal policy. So basically, this budget is expansionary. And why is it expansionary? Because the expenditure is by far more than the revenue, the income coming in. and is in economics, you spend your way out of a recession or low growth rate. So basically, that's what this budget hopes to achieve.
How do you explain that to somebody who is at the grassroots?
All right. When your economy is not doing okay or is not doing as expected, and you want to spoil it, you want to stimulate it, so you encourage spending, you encourage even money that you don't have, you borrow and buy to encourage spending, so that the economy will go back to growth territory. So basically, that's what the budget promises to achieve over the course of 12 months.
Dr. Galadima, President Buhari expressed worry over the insertions and many changes made by the National Assembly in the budget. But the Senate President said there was nothing to worry about. Should Nigerians worry?
I think the way the National Assembly is going about it is not really good. I'm not trying to crucify them, but if you're making adjustments to a budget, you should give justification. You should have explanation. There should be rationale for it. You don't just unilaterally adjust your budget like the independent revenue. They increased it by 400 billion without justification, without explanation. You don't just create 400 billion out of nothing. You must give. All right, you have increased it by 400 billion. So how do you think this 400 billion will be generated, right? And you don't just adjust. Before this, a lot of thought went into this budget for it to be created, for it to be crafted, and it was presented to you. It's not like somebody just sat and just created figures. They did research, they actually went to the field, and everything is justified. So if you feel there's something that is not convincing enough and you want to adjust, then you should bring superior argument or superior reason for it. You don't just change something like that. All right, so how do you raise 400 billion now? You have increased it by 400 billion, and the entire budget has been increased by more than 700 billion. So this money has to be generated. And the president was livid. He said, because of what they have done, the budget, so many projects may not be implementable. So the entire objective of the budget may be defeated because of that. So you don't just make adjustments, you don't just reduce or add to budget without any recourse to either the Ministry of Finance or any authority that can give you a superior reason for doing that.
Can that be said is padding of the budget?
No, I don't think it's padding per se. Padding.
So what is the difference between padding and what they just did?
All right. When you pad budget, you inflate so many things. I don't think I don't have any reason to say this is actually a padded budget, unless if there is a reason that shows that they have inflated figures without reason for doing such.
Of course, the president brought the budget and everything was all right. But the National Assembly, sat and adjusted it upward.
Yes.
So, isn't that for some form of padding?
I think it's too early for one to say it's actually padded or not, unless if you have reasons or you can prove that it's actually padding. I don't think you can call it padding.
Okay, moving on. Some of the projects inserted are said to be state and local government projects. What are the implications of this development?
Actually, we have different tiers of government and also different arms of government. The president, I remember, was complaining also about making the responsibilities of another tier of government to another tier. You don't just do that. There are, you can call it division of labor, sort of division of labor. The state is responsible for certain things. The local government is responsible for certain things. The federal government, the government at the center is responsible for certain things. So the moment you are arrogating to yourself as the government at the center what should be done by the lower tiers of government, there's likely going to be a clash. And that's not really good for a federation state like ours.
So, does it mean the job was not done properly by the National Assembly? Why would you include a local government or state project in a federal budget.
I think
Yeah, has that been a norm?
no. What is the issue is I really commend the fiscal authority and the federal government and even the National Assembly for trying to meet up to the date because they want the budget cycle to remain 1st of January to 31st of December each year. That's our fiscal year. So, in the process of trying to ensure that, I think they rushed some things, and even the president himself said normally he wouldn't have signed the budget because he had so many questions. But because he wanted it to meet this budget cycle, the consistency, the predictability, and that was why he signed. So eventually, I think there'll be a lot of vehement, a lot of corrigendum over the course of the year, so that all these things will be corrected.
As the president observed, some of the newly introduced projects might not have been properly costed. What could have given rise to such untidy job?
Like I said, I think because it was a bit rushed. If more time was there, maybe they would have done proper costing. They would have gone to the field and to find exactly how to go about things. But because the things were done in a rushed way, so that could have contributed.
Dr. Galadima, let me ask you this. Is there anything to worry about budget deficit? That is, leaving a large chunk of the budget to financing with loans?
Well, borrowings have upsides, of course, and they also have downsides. And the upsides are that one of them is it helps you to smoothen your spending. There are certain things that you need now. You may not have the resources, you may not have the funds. So borrowing affords you the ability to do it now. And if you do it now, it's far better than doing it later because the benefits that will accrue over time is going to be forfeited if you say you don't do it now until much later. So it's better you do it now. Then another thing is countercyclical spending. If the economy is on its knees and you want to stimulate it, Keynesian economics is a school of thought in economics, which is arguably the predominant school at the moment, says that you should borrow, embark on borrowing, spend your way out. And basically that's what the government is trying to do. But the downsides are also, they're overwhelming in the sense that by borrowing, particularly for debts that cannot pay for themselves, what I mean by debts not able to pay for themselves, when you borrow, you do certain things, and then these things are not sustainable. These things cannot generate income to pay the interest or the principal. So you may be creating problem for not only the current generation, but for future generations, because these debts will keep accumulating, and it may be a problem down the line. So that's the downside. Another problem is that you are just artificially maintaining your status because you're spending what you don't have. And particularly when you don't have an exit strategy, you want to borrow and you don't know how you're going to eventually pay, that's going to be a problem for you.
President Buhari said he would revert to the National Assembly with a request for amendment and or viament as soon as the Assembly resumed to ensure that critical ongoing projects cardinal to his administration and those nearing completion do not suffer a setback due to reduced funding. What's your reaction to this?
I mentioned it earlier. Yes, because the president was not happy with the way the National Assembly made some serious adjustments that affected everything that was the time, the resources, and the research that went into crafting the budget. So a lot of things, a lot of projects may not be implementable because of the adjustments, or even if they are going to do them, they may not be able to complete them as initially planned. So because of that, Mr. President is saying that he's going to come back to the National Assembly. He's going to see if there be vehemence, like, for every adjustment you make to the budget, it must have the approval of the National Assembly, or else it may be considered against the law, because this is a law actually. It's an appropriation act because it has been passed and signed by Mr. President. So it's a law and it must be obeyed the way it is being stated. You don't make adjustments like that. So he has to go back to the National Assembly to ask them for such. If he's reallocating resources from one thing or from some things to other things, then the National Assembly must approve it. And then there could be a corrigendum. A corrigendum means that there are mistakes or there are errors in the current document. Then you provide another document to prove that, all right, the last document has mere errors and these are the corrections. So basically, these are things he can do. The budget has just taken off, so he has a lot of time to make all these corrections so that the targets that he initially wanted when he submitted the budget to them will be achieved.
You're listening to Politics Nationwide on the network service of Radio Nigeria. And we're looking at 2021 budget performance and prospects of 2022 budget. Very soon we'll roll out the number to call us and be part of this program. But just before then, we'll take a break. And when we come back, I'll read the number out to you. I can't see the number.
The second guest is on.
Number. Okay, welcome, and you are still on to Politics Nationwide on the network service of Radio Nigeria. And we're looking at 2021 budget performance and prospects of 2022 budget. And the number to call is 0705. No, sorry, the number to call 0705 749 3324. Again, 0705 749 3324. Now, please, when you call in, we want you to go straight to the point, what we're discussing today. No name calling, no foul language, and I give you perhaps 1 minute to say what you want to say as regards this topic, 2021 budget performance and prospects of 2022 budget. And of course, I hear that our guest is around the corner, second guest is around the corner, and when you do, please, once again, no insult calling. The number is again 0705 749 3324. So when you call in once again, please, I plead with you, no name calling. Let's go straight to the point. We're looking at the 2021 budget, performance and prospects of 2022 budget. Our second guest is already almost here in the studio. And when he comes, we'll recognize him. And okay, he's going to call us on the line. And I hear he's ready. Good morning, sir. Yes, Happy New Year to you. Yes, and I hope you got in safely with your family. Okay, it's good to have you at the on the first edition of Politics Nationwide on Radio Nigeria. Now, sir, the 2023 budget is termed Budget and Recovery. What's your take on the nomenclature? Yes, please.